Lunch is over. I went ahead and finished up adding the uprights here. So we got 2 uprights put in. And I also added the little bits of blocking. So basically just at the midpoint of these uprights, I put a piece of blocking in, and this will allow us to get a nice flat piece for the chicken wire. So we can staple here, we can staple here, we can staple here, and it'll allow it to stay nice and flat. We will have to, of course, cut around some of these handles in the bottom, but the rest of it, it'll just be a straight shot. So right here in the front corner, we'll have the chicken wire come up, and then we'll have to cut it around it. Same at the bottom. But that shouldn't be a big deal. The chicken tractor is still not overly heavy. It's not light, but it's totally movable. If I wasn't picking up the lawnmower with it, it would be much easier. It's also very sturdy. I see a lot of people online use 2x2s to make them, but I saw that 2x2s were basically only $1 cheaper than 2x4s. So 2x4s were a much better deal. And then I thought about just ripping the 2x4s down, cutting them in half to make 2x2s. But I wasn't sure if they would be structurally as sound. So I figured, you know what, I'll go a little big this time, and if it's too heavy, I'll learn my lesson and we'll make it smaller next time if we need to. But this isn't bad. I could totally pick this up and move this right now. And it shouldn't get significantly heavier. What we're gonna do next is we're gonna take some 2x4s, we're going to rip them down. So we're gonna rip them down in the middle here, and we're gonna make the top. So the top, I don't mind being a little bit less sturdy, because it doesn't have to be as structurally sound. I don't expect there to ever be snow sitting on this. These will go out. Hopefully, well, let me just say, hopefully there'll never be any snow sitting on these. We'll be putting this out in the middle of April, so from April till the fall, and then in the winter we'll put it up. So for the summertime, there shouldn't be any snow sitting on these, so I don't expect that we'll have a significant amount of weight on the top. So I think splitting these guys down the middle here, just ripping them down and making them smaller to make the outline of the top will be good. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to make a top that fits this whole section here. We'll have 2 cross beams going across the top, sitting on top of the side panel or the side walls here to give it some strength. And then here we'll have another piece that'll go across, and that'll have some hinges on it across this one, and so we can lift the front portion up. So from here to here, the lid will lift up. And if I need to climb in, of course, I've got plenty of space. This is plenty of space for me to get in, and then I don't want to really have to crawl in there, but occasionally you may have to. But if I have to, I can. And then we'll put a latch on the front, because the latch will then, of course, keep it so that predators can't get in it. But this is pretty sturdy. I think that we should be able to withstand the weight of pulling it around, and it should hold up. I was going to put corner bracing in, but I'm not sure it even needs it right now. It seems really, really sturdy and pretty stiff, so I might just leave it. And if I need to add some corner bracing later, I can. I'll be able to take the top off if I ever needed to, especially from the front, because it'll lift up, so I can get to these corners here and put bracing in if I need to. And I could always just unscrew a couple screws and take the top off later and put some corner bracing in back there if I need to. So I'm going to skip the corner bracing for right now, but yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start cutting out the pieces. After I rip some 2x4s down, I got some larger, whole piece 2x4s over there that I'm going to use. And we'll jump back in here in a few minutes when this is all cut up and ready to go. To build the top, all we really need to do is take some of these pieces that we ripped down and put them down like so. And then what we're going to do is line them up so that the back end is nice and flush with the back there. This is nice and lined up. There's a bump here, but that's okay, no big deal. We're going to mark the middle of where this second riser here comes in, because that's what we're going to cut to create our door, right? So we're going to put the hinge right here. So we'll cut this at this point. We'll do the same thing on that side, and then we'll just build a box. So we're just going to build a box, and then we'll build a support beam across the middle of the box right here. That'll give it some stability. We'll just screw it all down to the top here, and that'll be ready to just put some chicken wire on. And then the front, what we're going to do is we'll take the pieces that we cut off of this right here. We'll start to assemble a second box that will then make the door portion, and then we'll put our hinges up on top, and it'll be good to go. Now I got the top all cut up. I'm gonna get ready to screw it together. I'm not sure if I want to put some cross posts here to add a little rigidity to the top, because it does seem to have a little bit of a bow or flex to it. We'll see. I'll get it put together, see what I think before I put the chicken wire on. So basically what we did here is chopped all these up, I just got them butt jointed right now. We're gonna screw them together. So what I'm gonna do is pre-drill some holes, because this is so small, it will split. But I'll pre-drill some holes, put the screws in there, put a screw into each one, at all the corners, and then hold it together. And then what I'll do is I'll pre-drill, maybe 3 on each side holes, and I'll drill them. I'll put some screws right into the top support, so it'll kind of tie it all together. And then that should be what we needed for the top. Like I said, I'm not sure if I'm gonna do cross braces in the, between maybe here and here just yet. I'm thinking I might want to, but I'm not positive yet. We'll take a look at how it turns out and what I feel like it's gonna hold up as. And then basically, after we're done with that, what we're gonna do is assemble the front box, which will be the door. I have some pieces cut for that here already. So we'll just set these on, like so. Do another piece across there, do a piece across here, and a piece across there. And then that will get some hinges along the back piece there, so it can just open and close. So we're getting close, real close here. Once we're all done with all of these framing assembly, we can just put the chicken wire on, and then we'll be ready to, roll this outside. There we go. Now this is all tied in, so if I try to grab it, it's not moving. What I did is I connected each piece to each other, and then I took and put a couple of screws in the top along the way. So there's 3 on the sides and 4 on the back. Nice and tight, should not go anywhere, and has a pretty good rigidity to it. Like, it actually doesn't feel like I probably will need those cross braces. Feels pretty solid and pretty strong. So I think once I get the chicken wire on top, it'll be even stronger. So I'm gonna start off making the last bit of the frame here, which is gonna be the door portion that'll open up from the top. Once we're done with that, we'll be done with the frame. Now the top's done. I did make one slight change as I was working on it. What I decided to do is I had a piece of 1x wood, some pine, that I had laid around that I really kind of wanted to use at some project at some point. And I didn't have, I would have had to rip down an entire another 2x4 for this. So what I did is I kind of created, I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but there's a lip here now. So this piece sits a little proud of this one. So that'll just make it a little nicer for when we're trying to lift it. There's something for this to lock into. When we get the hinges on and the chicken wires on, this is what the top will work like, right? It'll just it'll have some hinges right there that will then hold it in a little pivot like that to open. You won't be able to get in there. And then this sits, because this is a little wider than these, it sits down over this piece of wood and kind of creates a little lip. So that's nice. I think I like that pretty good. It'll go up like this, and then we can still get a latch right here. Shouldn't be a problem. Now the chickens won't be able to go into it for at least a few more weeks because they are still in the brooder here. I can turn you around. You've probably been hearing them, but here they are. They're doing great in here. Everybody is super happy and healthy. We have not lost a single bird since that one free one that that died on us the day after we got them. Everybody's been doing great. You can see they're playing and jumping and just kind of acting crazy. Being chicks, right? Just doing what chicks do. They eat well, they're sleeping well, they're drinking, and everything's been good. They seem to be very healthy. These guys all turned out to be doing pretty well. Everybody's looking good. Everybody seems healthy. So we're pretty pleased with the outcome so far. But they are, as you can see, still chicks for sure. They are not ready to be put out on the pasture yet. The yellow ones are the Cornish cross. You can see they're much bigger than the egg layers that we have. But even though they're much bigger, they're not fully feathered yet. It's cold in Vermont still. It's April. Our nights are still well into the 20s regularly. So we will not be putting these guys out for at least another couple weeks. Here we are today on day 2 of the chicken tractor build. I went this morning to Tractor Supply and picked up the chicken wire that I need for across the top. I got 36 inch by 25 feet, so I need about 21 feet total. And none of these are wider than 36 inches, so we should be able to fit them easily across the openings here. Like I said yesterday, I'll overlap these two so that you know, I don't have to cut it. And then this one here, I'll just cut it on the edge. Should be able to do that. And then I have the 24 inch wire to go around the edge, which will just go like this. It will just run it around the whole thing. I've got 50 feet of this. And I should need like 32 feet worth, so I should have enough. Outside of that, we're just about done. I'm going to connect this chicken wire with staples. I don't have like an electric stapler or anything like that, or pneumatic stapler. All I have is just a regular old stapler. So I'm going to use that with just some T50 staples, just regular old hardware staples, nothing fancy there. So yeah, we're going to get to it, get the sides done first, and then I'll try to probably move the lawnmower over to the side so we can slide this out. When we get it outside, we can put the top on. Or maybe I'll put the top of these two on first and then slide it out. I'm not sure exactly yet. But yeah, we'll get that put together. And then after we're done with that, basically all we have to do is put a latch here. And I'll probably put the latch on the sides to hold it down so that no predators can get in. And then put a handle of some sort on the front so that we can lift it up easier. Right now we have to grab the wood, which is fine. It's not going to be a problem, but it would be nice if we had a piece of, a handle of some sort just there to grab onto. So that's pretty much it. I'm thinking for the sides to do some latches, we'll either do an eye hook or like a carabiner on a lock. Bracket, I don't know what those are called, lock bracket I guess, with a carabiner on it. I guess you could even put like a piece of bungee cord on each side because it is pretty, sticks out pretty good. So I suppose you could probably even just bungee down the two sides, and then if you need to open it, remove the bungee cord. Getting a raccoon or something to figure out how to take out both of them would be pretty difficult, but I guess I just worry that if they did get one side open, then they could at least pry it open and probably get in there. So, I don't know, temporarily we might use that, but I think in the long run I'd like a piece of actual hardware to hold it down. So, yeah, we're going to get started on that. I'll start putting the sides on here and I'll check back in a little bit. So, got some of the first side done here, working on it. Just getting some staples in. Basically what I'm doing is I'm just lining up the chicken wire to the top, maybe about a ½ inch down from the top, and then stapling every couple of inches. I'm a firm believer in you can't have too many staples in something like this. You don't want to leave any place for a predator to grab, get a hold and pull out the edge. So just kind of fill it in, and then these middle blocks, give them a bunch of staples as well, so that you got some nice strength in the middle here. So you can see that this does have a little play, right, because it's chicken wire. It's never going to be super, super, super tight. But there's no way that this is going to get opened up, at least not easily. Something would have to really, really start pulling on that to get it to open. As I work my way down, I'm just going to keep stapling along the top, and then I work my way down. I want to keep the top at somewhat of a consistent line so that you don't end up with a ton of bubbles and wobbles in the chicken wire. So, got the entirety of the sides fenced in now. So you can see they are all fenced. Basically, as I described earlier, just kind of go around, put the staples in, every couple inches. You're gonna put them in, make sure you're stapled in really well. Get it all nice and tight. And then what I did is at the end over here, I overlapped it. So this is where I started. I went that way, came all the way around. And then at the end, I overlapped it till this line here, and then you can just take the pieces of the wire and you can twist them around and wrap them together. That way you get a nice tight seal, and you can also add more staples to the area. You can see there's a ton of staples in there where they come together. So now this is nice and tight. It's not going anywhere. That's on there pretty good. The whole entire thing is now fenced in around the sides. I will do the top now. I think the top should be a little bit easier, first of all, because I'll be standing up instead of kneeling down, but just gonna roll it out. So the edge will be here, roll it, it'll probably overhang till about there. And then on this piece, I'll line the edge up there, roll it out, and the edge will probably be over there. So there'll be a little bit of overlap there, no big deal. The staple it down in the middle, should be good to go. And then we'll do the same thing on this last piece. Put those, that piece in. We'll trim up this side just because we're gonna have our hands there and we don't want it to be overlapped too much. Maybe I could just overlap it this way. I don't know if it would affect the hinge. I might try that first and see what it's like. And if it doesn't work, then just trim it over there. Other than that, all we gotta do is put a tarp on. So there'll be a tarp that will go over the top 2 sections here and then down the back and around the back here. So this will all be covered with tarp. So this is where they get protection from the weather and the wind and whatever else, right? We'll make sure that the front of this faces south or east maybe, either way. And the north and the west facing will be the part that's covered so that if a cold wind does come through, they'll have protection from that. The tarp will be stapled down and connected to this so it protects them. It also, of course, protects them from a cold rain or if we have some spits of snow or whatever in late April, early May, they would be covered. We've only got one more panel to go, so I figured I'd give a quick check-in here, show you how it's coming. Basically, what I did is, as I mentioned, I took a piece or the roll of chicken wire, rolled it out, cut it to length, and then I lined up the back edge with this edge so it's nice and straight. You can see it kind of follows down there, gives me something nice to staple to. It's good and connected. And then it overlaps by a few inches here. You can see it kind of sticks down. Not a big deal because I stapled it against this center beam here. And then I did the same thing on this side. So I took the back edge, right, made it nice and straight along this, cut it to length, and then it overlaps on this side. So we've got basically a double overlap here. They overlap each other. And what I did is I just made sure that I went through and I stapled everything together nice and tight. So even if something was to come in here and try to get through, they can't because there's staples all the way through, Maybe a mouse could get in or something small, but nothing big. Something that would be able to fit through there would probably be able to just fit through the holes in the chicken wire. So nothing large would be able to get through there, which is what we want. And then remember, this is also going to be covered with tarp. So even if something did get over here and could get to this area, it can't get to the seam because the seam is going to be covered with the tarp. And here we have it. It's finished. The chicken wire is all on. I drilled some holes with a 1-inch spade bit at the bottom of the piece here on both sides so that I can attach a rope to it. One thing that I did see a lot of people recommend is that on the rope that you use, you put a piece of PVC so that you have a handle to pull it with. So you can see that inside the camera there. You basically can grab it like that, and then you can slide it like so. You can see it moves very easily. Now this is on concrete, so we'll see how it slides when we're out on the grass, but I think it should be okay. If I need to make this a little shorter, I can, and then I would be able to lift the edge of it up as well. We'll see how that works. I'm not exactly sure how I want to do it. You'll notice I left a little bit of rope extra here, so maybe if I need to make it longer or shorter, I can. But yeah, it's done. So I hope you enjoyed the video on how to make this. It should come in handy if you want to make yourself a smaller version of a chicken tractor that's not going to cost you, $1,000, right? You can go to Lowe's or Home Depot or your local lumber yard and pick up the vast majority of this stuff, actually all of this stuff, pretty inexpensively. The most expensive individual components, of course, are the chicken wire, because chicken wire is not cheap. It's not real expensive, but I think the 3-foot roll was like $20-something, and then the 2-foot roll that I used was, I want to say it was $30-something as well, because the 2-foot roll was 50 foot and the 3-foot roll was only 25 foot. I did use the 2-foot roll on this, so this will just happen to be right around 2 feet, so I was happy with that, and I could just use the 2-foot roll there, but those were 3 feet. So you might be able to get by on 2-foot ones if you were to redo your your posts here. If you put an extra post in, you could probably make this the 2-foot pieces, and you wouldn't have to buy the 3-foot piece of 3-foot high piece of chicken wire, save yourself even a few more dollars, because I do have a good amount of the 2-foot left. I'm sure I have enough here that could have went across this a couple more times. So I probably could have got by with just one of these. So if you're building this yourself, think about that. You might be able to make that work even less expensive, because then you wouldn't have to buy the 3-foot roll. But otherwise, like I was saying, everything is very inexpensive in this. I use standard 2x4 studs that you can buy for just a couple bucks each. Now that the pandemic's done, the price of 2x4s has gone down significantly again. They were almost like $10 at one point. These were like $3 and some change, so they've gone down a lot. The pressure treated 2x4s are a little bit more money, but they're still not super expensive. They're like $5 each, I think. So, you're talking $20 for the bottom 2x4s that are pressure treated, and another $30 maybe in the rest of the wood that you're gonna put in here. So at that point, you're at like $50, and then you add in, a couple rolls of chicken wire and some screws, and add in a couple of hinges, and you really don't have that much money into this. We're talking easily under $100 to build this, and it should last you several years, right? Like, this is not something that should just only be a one-season deal. Now, I do have to go to get the tarp, but I'm gonna buy a super cheap tarp over at Harbor Freight, because Harbor Freight has tarps for like, $5, something like that. Real cheap. And I figure if they're that cheap and I have to replace them once a year, well, that's okay, because they're gonna be out in the sun, out in the rain. And if they get tore up, well, they get tore up, right? I'll put a new one on each spring when I'm gonna do the next set of chickens. But you should only have to build this once every, bit of time. You shouldn't have to build this every year. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was informative. I hope it helped you. If you want to have meat chickens, put together your chicken tractor. I've never done this before. It's my first time. I found a lot of videos on people that make big ones for like farms, for industrial size operations where they have 1,000 chickens or whatever. I'm only going to have 25 probably at most. And I would think most small people like me and anybody else that wants to raise their own meat, doesn't want to rely on the grocery store, you wouldn't have, hundreds and thousands of chickens. You're only going to have 25, maybe 50 at most, but even most people, you could get by on this with 25 and do 2 batches a year, right? Because really, who wants to process 50 chickens in one day? I sure don't want to take that on. So I think 20-something is probably going to be a pretty big operation. Tune into the videos later this summer and we'll videotape that. We won't put the actual dispatching of the chickens, of course, because this is YouTube and we can't put stuff like that on there. But we will put the day that we process and how we process them, and then what we get for meat from them, so show the chickens after they've been processed. But yeah, you can do this. I think anybody can do this. I did this in the span of 2 afternoons. So if you gave yourself a full 8-hour day, you could probably knock this all out in less than that. I did have to run to the store once to get some more chicken wire, because I didn't have this 3-foot chicken wire. But outside of that, it was all stuff that I planned to purchase on that first trip to Lowe's. Once again, it's very straightforward. You don't have to be a master carpenter or a handyman to do this. Anybody can do this. And I'll check in, at the end of the season here when we've grown out the chickens in this. We'll see how it performed. We'll see how this skinnier front piece that I put on holds up. Do I need to switch it out for another piece of 2x4 instead? How does the chicken wire hold up? Does the little stand for the water work? That kind of thing. So we'll check back in with that. But once again, thanks for watching. If you like this video and you want to see more content like this, please subscribe to the channel. Click the little bell if you do subscribe, and you'll get notified when we put new videos up. We try to put them up regularly. Animal stuff, our pet stuff, gardening, clearing the forest that we own, stuff of that nature. And yeah, I hope everybody has a great day. Like this, share it with your friends. If you do like it, we would really appreciate it. Help grow the channel. Have a good one.